All 10 wickets fall to spin as Notts bowl out Surrey. Rock bottom Notts go into their game against Surrey at Trent Bridge, knowing it's a must-win one for them if they're going to have any hope of avoiding relegation. They welcome back Stuart Broad, while Surrey are weakened by the loss of England internationals Curran and Folkes to lines duty, while Mark Stoneman is also out for family reasons. And when Ashwin came on, it took him only 4 balls to claim his first wicket, trapping Ryan Patel in front with a classic off-spinner's dismissal. Rory Burns was joined by Dean Elgar as they sought to rebuild, with Elgar picking up 2 early boundaries off wood. But the Notts attack were keeping it tight, and Ashwin struck again, removing Burns with his second LBW of the morning. Elgar and Jordan Smith steadied the ship, with the South African looking increasingly assertive and picking up a series of 4s off the Notts spinners. Surrey recovered to pass 100 without further loss, reaching 104 for 2 by the lunch interval, with Elgar looking an excellent touch in reaching 47 by the break. Both batsmen helped themselves to an early 4 off Broad as the second session began, with Elgar's taking him to his 50. But it was Ashwin who made the breakthrough again for Notts as he bowled Elgar with a corker. And Smith didn't last much longer before Ashwin accounted for him as well to make it 4 out of 4 for the Indian, with Slater taking a brilliant grab at short leg this time. Jacks got going with boundaries off Patterson White and Wood, but the left-arm spinner got his own back as he claimed a leading edge off his own bowling to take his first scalp at home for Nottinghamshire. Scott Borthwick came out lower down than usual at number 6, but he looked to be settling in well, but Samit Patel struck with the penultimate ball of this session to pin him LBW and leave Surrey 6 down, with 193 on the board at the break, with all of the wickets so far having fallen to spin. The 2 Clarks managed to frustrate the Notts attack after the break as they took their side beyond 200. Runs were hard to come by though, as the bowlers kept things tight, and that pressure told as Notts took the new ball and Ashwin claimed his 5th wicket when Jordan Clark slapped him straight to Patterson White at mid-off. And soon after, Patterson White trapped Ricky Clark plumb in front with the first ball of a new spell, before striking again in his next over to bowl Morkel as the big paceman shouldered arms. 4 balls later, the Surrey innings was over as Ashwin accounted for Batty as the champions finished 240 all out, with all 10 wickets falling to spin. After the success of the Notts spinners, it was no surprise to see Amar Virdi opening the bowling for Surrey, but Libby got things going for the hosts with a boundary off the bowler's first delivery. 2 overs later, Morne Morkel claimed the first wicket to fall to pace in the match as he removed Slater, with Jacks taking the catch. But Libby and Tom Moores were able to hold firm and see their side through to stumps at 20 for 1. They'll pick up tomorrow 220 behind, and they'll hope to build a score on day 2. Virdi takes 8 as Surrey dominate day 2 at Trent Bridge. Nottinghamshire were led by Indian spinner Ashwin 6 for 69 as they bowled out champion Surrey for 240 on day 1 at Trent Bridge, with all 10 wickets falling to spin before the hosts lost Ben Slater late in the day as they reached 20 for 1 at stumps. Notts initially made a solid if circumspect start as they scored 15 in the first 10 overs of the morning. But Amar Virdi found some prodigious turn to trap Libby LBW for 23. And in the next over, new man Joe Clark was on his way as Will Jacks took an excellent low catch at short leg off Gareth Batty. Virdi made it 3 strikes in successive overs for Surrey when he bowled Tom Moores as Notts' fragile batting lineup was suddenly in trouble again. And they were in deep trouble when Virdi struck again just 2 balls later to remove Mullaney LBW with one that didn't really bounce. Samit Patel led a mini recovery in partnership with Ashwin, but Virdi wasn't to be denied for long before he had Patel caught by Burns at leg slip. And Virdi had his 5th scalp in his next over when Patterson White went for a duck, with Jacks pouching another catch at short leg. Luke Wood came out to play his shots and he counter-attacked by sending Batty to the fence twice in an over. Wood and Ashwin were able to take Notts past the 100 mark as they built a useful partnership. And they reached the safety of the interval without further loss on 104 for 7, feeling slightly happier after recovering from 66 for 7, but with plenty of work still to be done. The Notts pairing toiled for a period after lunch before Virdi struck again to remove Ashwin via a bottom edge through to Smith behind the stumps. And the innings came to an abrupt end soon after when Virdi claimed 2 more wickets in his next over, first trapping Luke Wood in front before wrapping up the innings by bowling Zach Chappell and finishing with the superb figures of 8 for 61. That meant the hosts were 116 all out, giving Surrey a lead of 124 runs on first innings. It took Ashwin just 3 deliveries to pick up where he left off in the first innings when he pinned Patel in front as the game continued to move at pace. And yet another batsman fell LBW when Patterson-White trapped England opener Burns in front. Elgar sent Ashwin to the fence before the Indian spinner had his man the next ball when the South African edged through to Moores to leave Surrey 3 down. Jordan Smith came out to play a few shots as he picked up 2 fours off Ashwin before helping himself to 2 more off Patterson-White as Surrey recovered to move past 50. But in the final over of the session, Ashwin bowled Borthwick to leave Surrey 78 for 4 at the interval with a lead of 202 that already looked imposing on this pitch. Will Jacks found the rope off both Ashwin and Patterson-White early in his innings, before Smith sent Ashwin to the fence from consecutive deliveries to move to his half-century and take Surrey beyond 100. But Smith didn't last much longer before Samit Patel produced an absolute beauty to bowl him. And Surrey was 6 down in the following over when Patterson-White had Jacks caught by Clark at backward point. Ashwin accounted for Ricky Clark soon after to complete a 10-wicket haul in the match, with Joe Clark taking a smart catch at leg slip. Jordan Clark hit back with boundaries off consecutive deliveries from Patel, and he took Surrey beyond the 150 mark in partnership with Batty and towards a lead of 300. And Clark continued to attack as he clattered Chappell for 6 and followed it up with a 4 in the bowler's next over. Surrey reached the close in an excellent position at 184 for 7 with an imposing lead of 308, which they may well feel is already enough for them to push on for victory on day 3. Ashwin haul in vain as Virdi takes 14 to spin Surrey to victory. 20-year-old spinner Amar Virdi claimed career best figures of 8 for 61 as spin bowling continued to dominate on day 2 at Trent Bridge. Bottom club Nottinghamshire failed with the bat again to be all out for 116 before teenage batsman Jordan Smith impressed with 57 for Surrey as they reached 184 for 7 at the close for an already imposing lead of 308 on a turning wicket. Jordan Clark moved to a maiden 50 for Surrey with a boundary off Patterson-White, but he had to go when he made a mess of an attempted reverse sweep to complete Ravi Ashwin's second 5-wicket haul of the match. Morkel clattered Patterson-White for a mighty 6, but Ashwin struck again in his next over, with Batty becoming his 12th victim of the game. Morkel responded with consecutive 4s off the first 2 balls of the next over, and Rory Burns decided enough was enough, calling his batsmen in and setting Notts an unlikely 349 to win. Jake Libby decided attack was the best form of defence as he sent Virdi's first 2 deliveries to the rope. But Morkel accounted for Slater for the second time in the match, having him caught behind for a duck. And Tom Moores came and went as Virdi trapped him plumb LBW. Joe Clark and Libby recovered slightly towards the end of the session and they looked to be taking their side to the relative safety of lunch, but Virdi struck for the 10th time in the match to remove Libby LBW and leave Notts 3 down and staring at another defeat. Joe Clark didn't last long into the afternoon session before he became Virdi's 11th scalp. And his 12th came soon after as he matched Ashwin's match haul when Patel was pinned in front. 3 balls later, Mullaney was on his way when Jacks caught him at short leg off Batty. And the chaos continued when Patterson-White edged to slip in Batty's next over as Notts collapsed yet again. Ashwin and Wood counter-attacked with boundaries as they had in the first innings. But Virdi had a fifth in the innings to go with his 8 in the first when Wood was caught by Clark at slip to leave Notts on the brink. Broad came out to join Ashwin and they were finally able to put together a partnership for Notts. They took the score into 3 figures and gave their side hope of extending the contest into the final session of the day. And they registered a battling 50 partnership. But Broad went for one big shot too many and was stumped by Smith off Virdi. Ashwin continued to swing, moving past 50 to go with his 12 wickets in the match. And he celebrated the milestone by clattering Virdi for his 6. Before Batty wrapped up the game by having Chappell caught by Jacks to give the champions a win by 167 runs and in all likelihood condemn Notts to relegation. Surrey will take 20 points for their win, while Notts score no batting points again and must make do with 3 points.
Oh.